nursing students? Time to talk. Welcome to the Real Talk School of Nursing Podcast, Season 4, Episode 8. I am your good and faithful host, Michael Smith. Thank you for continuing to subscribe to the show. You can support the show directly on our Patreon account at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing. And for less than a quad long shot grande in a venti cup, half calf, double cup, no sleeve, salted caramel mocha latte with 2 pumps of vanilla, substitute 2 pumps of white chocolate mocha for mocha, and substitute 2 pumps of hazelnut for toffee nut, half whole milk and half breve with no whipped cream, extra hot, extra foam, extra caramel drizzle, extra salt, add a scoop of vanilla bean powder with light ice, well stirred, and you can gain patron benefits such as early content, shoutouts, and special swag. Write into the show at realtalknursing@gmail.com or use Facebook Messenger or contact us through Instagram or Twitter to share your experiences, ask questions, and give feedback. Thank you for supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Thank you to everyone who started following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to listen to the show and share the show with classmates and especially underclassmen and cohorts. Let's give a hand up to those who are coming behind us and welcome them into our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. Don't forget to reach out and tell us if you have any announcements for graduations, good grades, difficult tests, friends you want to help congratulate, and your announcement will be featured on the show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So, go to wherever you download podcasts, subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show, and smash that subscribe button. Remember to leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students. I want you to be part of this crazy nursing school journey. Help me welcome Nurse Matt to the show. He has an incredibly compelling story of redemption and triumph, and one that anyone would consider to be unlikely for someone to get into nursing school. Got talking a little bit after I was out of orientation, I think.
Yeah.
Because in orientation, I didn't think I got a chance to talk to anybody really at all.
No, I think maybe I saw you like 3 times or something like that.
Hi.
Pretty much.
And he has a really compelling story. I think. No, that's when you told me the story because we went out to breakfast after.
Yep.
And that was really the first time that I got to talk to anybody other than my preceptor.
Crap show school experience. Yeah.
and I think anyone would consider, after hearing the story or hearing the beginning of the story, that Matt would be an unlikely nurse, or he took a very unlikely pathway to get to nursing school. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. But it's a really compelling story, and I think it's inspirational from a standpoint that, people go through, people will experience adversity through nursing school and in their prereqs and in their life outside of school and prereqs and in nursing and all that kind of stuff. And be able to just stick to things and be able to kind of see that there are other pathways to get there, that you don't have to be perfect in your entire life prior to getting to nursing school. So I really wanted to bring Matt on, and I really appreciate your time because you worked last night till 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Solid.
It's a long night.
It was a and
they asked me to stay late too, so I was like, I got a thing tomorrow. I'm sorry.
I have to be somewhat able to speak.
Somewhat alive. Yeah.
So, tell me, let's kind of start prior to prereqs. Really, let's talk about like high school, and then you do some other stuff in college too, but you wanted to separate that. So let's talk about like your high school and kind of what that was like, where you were in life at that point.
Confused. No, I was the biggest band geek. All I did was care about band. I did marching band, I did indoor drumline, and that was primarily my focus. And because of that, I ended up suffering terribly in school otherwise. I don't know how many times I did.
Because most of school is not band.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it turns out they want you to learn other things than, music. Weird, I know. So, like, my gen ed classes suffered. I don't know how many times I did like a regular English class. I'm pretty sure I took English 10 all the way up until my senior year because I failed it that many times. Yeah, I never did homework. I my go-to was music and video games. I mean, that's still kind of my go-to, but now I'm paying for it, so it doesn't matter.
So how did you get into college? Because if I have to imagine that your grade, well, I have to imagine that your grades were not stellar.
No,
less than stellar.
Yeah, I was like the D average student. I'm pretty sure for my high school graduating GPA.
So what made you decide that you wanted to go to college in the first place?
That's a good question. I think I was getting closer to graduation, and my parents were having more of that discussion of, so what are you gonna do? You're almost done with high school. You're gonna go to college, right? I didn't think about it, and the more I was thinking, I'm like, you know what? I really love music. Why not be a music teacher? So that was kind of my go-to. I applied to. Let me take that back. I took the ACT, did terrible. It was like I did it the last opportunity and didn't study, shockingly. And I think I got like a 15 or something like that. I think I like blasted through all the questions because I was running out of time on most of them. So it was just like, hey, we got it, maybe. So needless to say, I didn't get into State University on my first try. So from there, I ended up applying to like a local community college and started my pathway to higher education through there. You have to do, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like that pre-test before you can sign up for all your classes. It's like kind of like the T's where it's like math, science, reading, writing.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's not the ACT or SAT, but it's like entrance exams
to see where it would be most appropriate to place you.
Right.
And I think all of my classes were like pre-level college classes, so that kind of gives you a little insight to how well I was doing.
We need to reteach you high school.
Pretty much, and that's definitely how I felt.
Okay, so tell me more about what your life was like while you were in college.
Busy. So, like I had mentioned, I was into marching band. Well, you can't necessarily do marching band after high school. Oh, wait, yes, you can. Turns out there's this thing called drum corps, and there's two different divisions. There's what's called DCI or Drum Corps International, and it's like pretty much high school to, I think you age out at like 21, and then after 21, you can go on and do what's called DCA or Drum Corps Associates, and it's basically drum corps for all ages. You can be high school age all the way up to, I think we had members in our 60s. So, they're out there. It's basically like marching band on steroids. Everything is way more intense, taken like to the next level kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that was like a huge passion. So I got super focused in on that and again said, I know I'm paying for college, but band is fun. I like band.
So,
mind blowing, I know.
What? Yeah, but what happened? So, like, you get, I mean, things had to have come to a head at some point. Where there
took so many years.
but I can remember a classmate of mine got like a low C, because we were in like the practice, when I was taking my prereqs, they put me in with a group of practical nurses. Mm-hmm. When I was doing my prereq stuff, because they had that program at the school I was going to, even though I had no intention of going there. But they put me in with that group, and I think somebody got like a C or something like that, and it was the end of the freaking world as far as they were concerned, and they were all afraid of being put onto academic probation.
We're going to talk about academic probation.
So, well, tell me about it. So, like, how did, because you can't, I mean, even in college, I mean, more so, I think, in college than in high school, because they expect you to be motivated and they expect you to be doing your work, even though you're paying for it. And I'm sure they're more than happy to take as much money as they possibly can from you.
Oh, yeah. They were so willing to. Yeah, so you say C and your friend, the world was over. I saw a C and I was like, dude, I'm awesome. Like, yes, not a D or an F this time. So there's that. That was the beginning of my mindset. Um, my first semester of college was 2008.
Okay.
I graduated high school in 2006. I worked in between there. I was doing manual labor. Like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted to do because the school that I applied to when I was in high school, my grades and my ACT wasn't good enough, clearly. So I just kind of put that on the back burner. I was like, yeah, let's just do work for right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried harder. Let me say that. I tried harder in college than I did in high school. I didn't always do my homework still, but I at least,
Old habits die hard.
It's so very hard. In fact, like, I'm trying to remember exactly what my first semester GPA was, but I want to say it was like 2.5 or something like that. And I got pretty excited about that because I'm like, hey, it's, better than a 1 kind of thing. So
what was your because I remember you telling me this. Was
it like
was
my high school one?
Yeah, your high school GPA. You remember?
I want to say it was like 1.2 or something like that. I was really smart.
Well, but how, like, can you even graduate high school with a 1.2?
I think so.
I mean,
I graduated from high school. That's all I know.
That's all you know.
Keep in mind that was 2006, so it's a couple of years ago.
Golly. Okay, so your first semester you get a 2.5. You're pretty excited about that.
Yep.
So how long were you in college before you kind of discovered that maybe this band thing isn't going to work out?
Too many years.
Well,
like, no, seriously, I think so I did the drum corps thing from 2007 to 2011, and we started in January and ended in September. We had practices every Wednesday for 4 hours. It was like 6 to 10 o'clock at night, and then on the weekends, in the summer months, we would do competitions throughout the state. And then sometimes we would have to like go out of state for like bigger competitions. So that was kind of my big hobby or biggest time consuming activity that I did for those 5 years, is it?
Yeah.
So in between there, though, like I said, I was trying to be a full-time student as well. After my first semester at the community college, I did apply to state school and actually got in. So I was pretty excited about that. My first semester at the new school, now I'm going to tell you right now, I was at 5 different schools before I graduated college. I went to my my first and second schools twice, or in 2 different times. So
okay, so you got out of high school, you went to community college A.
Yep.
And then got to a state school A.
Yep. And
then
eventually got kicked out for my GPA and ended up at working for a year, and then went back to community college A, realized that I wasn't happy there again, and worked to get my GPA, which actually that semester did pretty good, because I was able to get my GPA to go back to state school A.
Right.
And we'll kind of dig into that more as the story goes. But like my first semester of state school was good. I was actually like doing the music education stuff. I was working on gen eds as well as like all the required music classes before you can even get into the education part.
Right.
I got put on probation because I think my GPA ended up being like 1.8 for that semester. I didn't fail any classes, but I had to retake some because they were like, I got D's. So that kind of sucked.
So C's and D's don't necessarily get degrees?
C's and D's I would not recommend as your go-to, surprisingly enough. So they put me on probation. I had to meet with, I think, my counselor and like the dean or whoever, and we came up with a plan where my next semester I had to get at least a 2.5 in order to stay enrolled. that did not happen. So yeah. And I will say I did do better, and I missed it by like a couple tenths of a point. I think I got like a 2.3 or something like that. So I was trying a little bit more because I knew that like the fear of getting kicked out was really strong. Like I didn't want that to happen. Even though
not strong enough though.
Yeah, not strong enough apparently. And the worst part of it is I wasn't partying. I wasn't out drinking because it was a small college town where it was like bar, antique shop, bar kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was literally just I was doing band all the time, like marching band stuff, and that kind of took away from my college, my study time, because I was constantly thinking about I need to get better, I need to practice, I'm gonna get cut or something like that, because you actually have to like audition for spots, mm-hmm. and you're not good enough. Sorry, try again next year, kind of thing.
And actually, probably getting kicked out probably would have been amazing for you.
Well, so the spots that I was trying for, 2 years in a row, I did not make it, and they put me in a different section. So like, it wasn't like, no, you can't be
play
here.
at all.
Right. We're just gonna find someplace else for you to go instead. So I was like, all right, fine. I just want to be part of the experience, because like when I was in high school watching these guys, they were like my idols. Like, oh my God, I want to be in this so bad. So just being in any of the sections seemed like that's what I wanted to do. Like, I know it's crazy to think about now, so many years later. But yeah, so that's where I put most of my focus. And from 2007 to 2011, that was primarily what I focused on.
Well, here, let's take a pause. We'll go into a commercial break, and then we'll come back, and we'll come back and we'll do like how you came to the decision, or what events led up to nursing. Making the decision to go to nursing school, and,
right.
and how we got there. So we'll be right back. Patience. What is that? Who even has time for that? PIE is P-I-E. Patience in everything. It's a simple yet difficult, yet powerful thing to learn. Think about the last time you were impatient. What came of it? How patient am I with others? How patient am I with myself? How patient and kind am I with the trials and unexpected turns in life? Am I patient and fully aware of the blessings of each day? I've been given a gift, be it fruit or life. It's up to me to choose how to use it. This is a book of short essays on life through something as simple as pie. Here's Coletta reading Piology 101.
Piology 101, the synchronicity of pie in life. How awesome to ponder how our Creator has put our individual ingredients so carefully together. Yet we get to choose our finishing touches and the temperature settings of the day. Sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're not. Every day is spent forming our own creation of self. Some days we also form a pie. Our ingredients of the day can be mixed up, nutty and complicated, or just sweetly simple. Fruits grown out of even the best soil and conditions may become bruised, but even imperfect fruit can become a pie to savor. Life, as imperfect as it may be, has a multitude of savory and sweet bites in each new day. Pie in life, filled to the brim with the fillings of our choice, oozing and bubbling over, and just so beautifully messy. Pie in life, any pie or day can end in failure and be perfected on the next. Pie in life, presented in pieces and are just what is left over, or sometimes well presented, well-rounded as a whole. Pie in life are made up of a beautiful variety of spices and different tastes. Pie in life, overworking can make it too tough. Pie in life, tender care will always produce a perfect foundation. Pie in life, dig in while it's fresh. Share that creation.
Get your copy of The Pie Letters by Coletta Hewitt in softcover or ebook from thepie.letters.com. That's thepieletters.com, and buy your copy in softcover or ebook from thepieletters.com, or you can go to Amazon. Love you all. God bless.
You're listening to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
Okay, so welcome back. So let's talk about the events that led up to, because we've heard the story of
Not smart math.
not smart math, but what are the things that ultimately led you to the decision to quit the music thing and pursue nursing, or short of that, something other than band?
Well, actually, so throughout the trials and errors of school, basically what ended up happening is the last time that I was at, state school A, I finally got kicked out for, I think, the third and final time that I cared to do it anymore. And I remember laying around in the wintertime, just kind of not doing anything, watching TV, and I saw a commercial. Hey, you want to make good money and, go to school for 2 years and have a career in nursing? And I was like, kind of. So that was kind of the little spark. I've got family that's in the medical field. I've got my grandmother was a pediatric LPN for longer than I can even remember. She was probably more experienced than most of the nurses I know now, even. My aunt, also LPN, she works for a general surgeon in a clinic, actually, for our hospital system. So she knows all those guys there. Again, extremely smart, really good with all of her stuff. The doctors trust her like you wouldn't believe. And then my brother, who went into the medical field, he is a OR scrub tech, also now at our hospital. You probably saw him the other night when I was talking to him, walking by. Yeah, the guy. Okay. Yeah, that was him. So, and he would always call me because he lived down south. He moved away, many, many years ago, and our only form of communication was through the phone. So he'd tell me all these stories about like cases he'd see in different like situations, and he'd use all these big smart words, and I'm like, dude, I want to do that. Like, little brother, big brother kind of thing. I looked up to him. I mean, I still do.
Well, he's taller than you.
I was just hunched over. He ain't taller than me. He probably is taller than me. So, like, all those things kind of made me go, I think this might be something I want to at least, like, look more into. So, I applied to Community College B, and that was actually conveniently right down the street. I did a semester there because my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, we ended up moving down south as well to spend more time with them. It's beautiful down there. So I figured I'll start my prereqs in Community College B, and then I'll just transfer down and see how it goes. Well, that first semester at Community College B, I think I threw, a 3.5 GPA, and completely blew my mind. Like, I was taking A&P 1, like sociology, oral communication, med terminology, and I even drove like an hour away once a week to do a phlebotomy class, so I could try and like get some experience with blood draws and whatnot. And just things were clicking. It just all made sense. I loved it. I was feeling smart for the first time in my life. Like, as sad as that sounds, and that was 2014. So from 2008 to 2014, I felt like dumb. So that's kind of the road that I took. And like I said, kicked out of state school, probably at least 3 times. I had like a semester to a year worth of hiatus in there between getting kicked out and coming back and then getting kicked out again. Yeah. I'm really bad at learning my lesson. And the sad part is like my GPAs weren't always terrible. Like I would do really well one semester, and then just,
And you just couldn't
something would
yeah,
happen in the
couldn't
spring.
sustain it.
Yeah, it like kind of thing.
So,
Nope.
so what was it about it that just made it click for you, like that made you want to stick with it?
So I used to work in a group home for at-risk youth, and I worked with with troubled teens. I guess would be the easiest way to say it. A lot of my experience in life is working with people and trying to solve problems and help. Like I'm all about helping people. I care about people. I want to help them. I want to make the best life for you that I can. Working in the group home was a huge moment of getting to work directly, even specifically with pediatric patients. I guess we shouldn't really call them patients, but it wasn't just like a babysitting job. It was, you're an educator, you're an inspiration, you're an adult, someone that they should be able to look up to, because they didn't always have those kinds of people in their life.
Yep.
And some days were awesome when you could get through to one of those kids and they just like that, all of a sudden they trust you. And now it's not always fighting everything. It's like, all right, yeah, you're right, I shouldn't do that. Or, you know what, I did overreact. And then there's sometimes they're throwing things at you and screaming in your face and threatening your life. And so it's kind of like working at the hospital sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Sounds like the ER.
Exactly. You have your great patients and you have your not so great patients. But even those not so great times, once they've had a chance to really process and you actually get them to a calm space, they make that aha moment and they apologize and they're like, "You're right. I'm sorry. That was out of line." And I don't know, like, that kind of helped transfer into my thought process of I just want to help people in general. And what better way to help people than to work in nursing? Like that's what you do. Whether it's, I got a owie on my finger to, all right, let's start compressions, you're saving a life in my eyes.
So you went and did the phlebotomy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Were you working at the same time you were going to school?
I was at the group home.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I didn't actually get into actual healthcare until I moved to the South.
Okay. So once you got, you were just taking the nursing classes or the prereq classes?
Yep. Just
in your home state,
mm-hmm.
and then you went down south to go to nursing school.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I needed. Well, I still had more gen eds that I needed to complete. Like when I got down there, very little transferred, and the stuff that did transfer, because my grades weren't stellar, I ended up having to retake a lot of those classes. So the way I look at it, when I started community college, being the state or in my home state, that was me basically starting over my college experience, because I think because I graduated nursing school summer of 2018, so essentially it was 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I redid my 4-year program. Yeah. It sucked having to repay for all of the things that I already did.
Well, we talk about that, like Nurse Robert P. Harris, who was a guest a couple months ago. We were talking about how much of an advantage having a little pre-planning is if you want to go to school to take your prereq classes at least in the same school system mm-hmm. as the program that you want to be in, and targeting a couple of different nursing programs if you have that option, and then being able to then target where you want to take your prereq classes and stuff like that. But mm-hmm. That is a very frustrating facet of higher education. In there's like, I'm sorry, well, we know that this is a legitimate school, but we don't recognize that AMP1
Exactly.
as the same as our AMP1. Like
It's funny you say that, because that was one of my struggle classes. I had to like submit a form to the school when I was living in the South, saying like I needed the syllabus and like all the whatever that goes along with that, just to prove that yes, my class is good enough for your class, kind of thing. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Delay.
So let's move forward into nursing school, and kind of what was like one of the big themes of the show is there's more to nursing school than just content, just getting and knowing the pathophysiology of the human body, and once you get into the nursing classes, your nursing philosophies and stuff like that, and nursing theories. But so let's start from where you were in life once you started nursing school. So, because you talked about one of your big supporters was your girlfriend, and you were down south with your brother. Is that
I brought
right?
her with me.
Oh, okay.
We actually got married down there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we got engaged right before we left, and then got married while we were living down there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. She was at first like super into it, and then was like, "Okay, can we go home now?" Like, oh.
So
I'm
what
not
was
ready.
so how important was having that support? Because in my experience going through nursing school, I had to have a lot of support. I had two kids. I was working when we started, and it took a lot of support to make sure that I could focus on school. And was that a similar experience to what you had? How do you think you?
100%. Like, if I didn't have my wife to like basically be my cheerleader for the last several years, I don't think I would have finished school. I probably would have dropped out and just went back to doing like trade work, grunt work, basically painting houses, whatever I could find. She was literally my rock through the whole thing. She helped me study. I was actually looking through my pictures the other night, and I had came across, we had went to Walmart. I was studying for a final, and we went to Walmart and bought a big whiteboard so we could like take notes and whatnot. And I remember,
I love whiteboards
dude,
so much.
it helped a ton, and it was so much fun because we were like, I was teaching her and she was helping me learn, kind of thing. So it was like a partner thing. Honestly, she probably would have been able to go through nursing school right next to me and just like learn vicariously and been just fine. She's so smart, it's not even funny. But
you are too, by the way. Despite the grades at the beginning, I mean,
I just don't apply myself like I do now. But let me rephrase that. I do now. I do apply myself. I didn't when I was younger. But I remember looking at these pictures and seeing like we drew a little person, and I think we were like studying the renal system and like kidney stones and whatnot, and looking at the pharmacology that goes with it, and the patho, and the A&P, or the anatomy, and diagnosis, or how to get to the diagnosis, and just going, wow, she was smart to come up with that, because that was all her. She's like, we're gonna go to Walmart, we're gonna pick this up, we're gonna do this, and you're gonna do it until you know it. I'm like, okay. Yes, ma'am. Whatever you say.
So what was because that feeds. I mean, you were listening to the last episode where it still gets me. It still gets me the student who was being encouraged to quit nursing school because she was being selfish. I just go,
F the haters.
Oh my
God. That's
God.
all I have to say about that.
Oh
F
my
the haters.
gosh, it's so crazy.
Like, what I don't get is the family part. Like, I get, if you have a part-time job, they care more about their business and making money, and
yeah, but if
they don't care about what you're going through.
But if you show up on time and you do the job that you're required to do, but
Right.
you're just not as enthusiastic about it or whatever, and be like, yeah, but I'm doing the job.
Exactly.
So,
haha, you can't fire me.
well, I mean, they can, but
Well, I was fortunate enough to have full support of my entire family. Like, I still remember calling my mom on the way home, and my dad, actually, both my parents, and talking to them about, oh man, this exam was really hard. I think I failed it, or you know, this happened during class, and I think I was almost falling asleep because I was working night shift and going to school at the same time. And they were always very encouraging, and especially my dad. He's like, I bet you got 100% on it. Always, like, no matter how bad it was, he's like, you're fine. You aced this. No problem. You're such a smart kid. I'm like, well, thanks, Dad. Love you too. So yeah, and of course, like I said, my wife and my brother, because he was, very encouraging. You got this, bro. You got this. You can do it. He'd always be seeing me studying, especially because there was a point that we were living together even, and he'd come home from work or whatever, and I'd be on my computer and just trying to like knock out chemistry homework or something like that, and just going, ugh, I don't miss that.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
See, I really appreciate the fact that when people have that kind of support,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel, and this is the controversial part of my opinion, probably, is that I also feel that there is a lot of, like, people still want their hand held a lot.
Uh-huh.
Like they want, Dave Ramsey will say things like tough love's not tough, it's just love.
Mm-hmm.
And,
absolutely.
And I needed, and I think more people need to hear things like, buck up, buttercup, that kind of thing.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that's my mom. She and if
so
she
your
hears
dad-
this, yeah, no. So they're like two completely different people. My dad is like, "Oh, you're such an amazing, perfect son," and then my mom's like the realist. No, you need to work harder. You need to do better in school. Like, you can do this, but you need to ship up, basically.
And and I fall into that category a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think, where it's like, yep, you didn't do well.
You didn't.
So what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how I know you can do this, but you're not gonna do this if you do it the same way you did it this time.
Absolutely.
So what's gonna change?
Absolutely.
And I fall into that. Like, what worked on you? What worked on you? Like, do you fall more into the needing the dad type? Which is funny because usually it's the other way around. Usually,
Yeah.
I think dads are the all right, boy, buck up.
My dad he's like me. He doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. He doesn't want to make anybody mad. And I totally get that from him, and I blame him. And if he hears this, then yeah, I'm calling you out. But I still love you. No, for me personally, I feel like you need a nice balance of that.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone who's, I won't use the word coddle, but someone who's going to be there that's going to be like, you got this, you're cheerleader kind of thing.
Empathetic, yeah.
Empathetic, yep.
Empathetic cheerleading?
Sure.
Cheerleading. Cheerleading's
That's a good way to.
That's a good
one.
We're learning.
Exactly. But then at the same time, you also need that person who's going to be like, get it together. And like I said, my mom is totally that person. She's always been that person, and again, I love her for it. I'm a competent human being for it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that's all I got for that, I guess.
Because my fear is that we're gonna, if you only have one, because I think if you always have the tough love part,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have as much as of the encouragement part, I think you can make it through school, and you can make it through, and you can do well in the profession,
Mm-hmm.
while having that. But I think if you have too much of the cheerleader type and not enough of the tough love,
Yeah.
it can get really I think that's where people get into like the I hate nursing stuff after a year, because they're just like, it's hard. Nobody's telling me I'm doing a good job all the time, and I'm not perfect, and you're not going to have that kind of stuff, or you're not going to have that kind of support when you're actually in the job, and that's where I come down, and I don't know, like I can appreciate people who need both. But I think as a profession, I think we need a lot more of one versus the other.
I agree. Yeah. Because, I mean, our job is tough. We deal with some real difficult people sometimes.
Well, not just difficult people. I mean, really difficult situations.
Well, yeah. I think that's more kind of what I was meaning by that. But yeah, you've got to know how to handle, not only the stress of it, but you've got to be able to, keep your emotions in check when something isn't going the way you want it to. You've got to be able to stop and collaborate and listen. Sorry. You've got to be able to
the brand new edition.
Right.
You can't stop there. You
really can't.
Because you're too legit to quit.
Exactly. Killing me. You've got to be able to stop and critically think about, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get this situation fixed? If it's a unhappy person, how are you going to kind of smooth over the situation so it's not that awkward? Here's your blanket. Bye. kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and I think there are so many situations that, especially I think especially in the emergency department, we're not going to fix it.
No,
we're not going to.
We slap a Band-Aid on it and say, all right, this is either a job for your primary doctor, or we're going to send you upstairs and they can continue what we started.
But even then, I think if you're in a med-surg unit, you're not going to be able to fix the situation. You're not necessarily going to be able to fix their situation. Whether you're talking about the nicest person in the world who's in difficult circumstances, and they're pissed off because of it, and they're gonna take it out on you no matter how nice of a person you are.
Yep. And all you can do is do your best. Smile.
You do your best, and it's gonna be a crappy day for you.
Yep.
And it's gonna be completely unsatisfying, and you're not gonna feel like you're changing the world and affecting lives and saving people, and you're not going to feel that way. And I feel like I think even in the last 4 years, I feel like there's more of that, because I feel like the progression of acuity has continued to march so fast upward, downward, upward, high acuity. Because it's no, because we do that. I forget what the system is called, but like the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the ESI.
Yeah, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah. So it's like the lower the number, the higher the acuity.
Yep.
Like that always confused. Like in my mind, I go, okay,
which one is it?
Which one is it? But I even in the 4 years that I've worked in healthcare, I feel that I've seen the progression where what used to be considered a 1 is now a 2. And what used to be considered a 2 is now like a 3 or a 4 sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, see you later.
Right.
But they go up, and again, even if you're talking about somebody who's working in med-surg, where they have, the nicest person in the world in bad circumstances, you may not be able to do anything for that patient in order to change their life. And it's just going to be a suck fest. And I feel like there's a lot of that. And I feel like if we have too much of the cheerleading, or if you're a person who needs and always got a lot of cheerleading, you're not going to get that in the job.
Right.
And I will credit
You're gonna be sadly disappointed.
Well, but I will credit some of our supervisors and that we've had, or that I've had, and managers that I've had, that they try to do that as best they can. But I mean, they're 1 or 2 managers and supervisors. And do you even know how many nurses do we have in our department who work in the ER?
I don't know. It took me more than 6 months to learn like just the night shift workers' names. So, and when I first started, I was day night. So,
Ooh.
yeah,
Like, I don't know anybody.
it's pretty much you were always a new face when I talked to you. So I'm like, hey, buddy, can you help me with this?
It doesn't help when everybody's badge for
Always.
whatever reason it's always
Always.
backwards. And then if you took your ID and put it on the backside, it would still end up backwards. I don't understand how that's possible.
I don't know how many times I've done that just thinking it would work, but no, it doesn't.
So let's take a quick break there, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about let's talk about a little bit more in-school experiences and
Sure.
and how you got through that.
Okay.
All right. Are you tired of the same old badge reel? Do you have to wear the same scrub color as everyone else? Are your undershirts boring and kinda stinky after wearing your lucky shirt through 5 in a row 12s? You can wear your personality in other ways. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and check out her massive selection. Tell her you're a Real Talk School of Nursing podcast listener and use the promo code REALTALK20 at checkout for 20% off your order. Expect 2 to 3 weeks for custom orders, and a few days depending on her actual job schedule, because she's a real nurse, to get your badges made and shipped. I know you'll treat her like your best friend at clinicals, so go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and order the coolest custom and original badge reels out there. Go to badgeladybynerdwear.com and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. That's badgeladybynerdwear.com and use the promo code REALTALK20 for 20% off your order. I am a professional. I know how to work my equipment.
It's okay.
I got this.
Buttons are hard.
So, I push a button. Okay, so how did things change for you in nursing school? Because it seems to me that you are the type of person who is dedicated to things.
Yeah.
But not necessarily always in a helpful direction or in a
Hence
way
why
that
I
moves
was
you
kicked out of
forward.
school.
Because you talked about how up and down things were for you in prereqs and not just in prereqs, but in your
Pre-nursing choice.
pre-nursing educational experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like? So what was that?
Well, like I said, the band stuff was huge. And at that point I was still studying music education. And as I was going on, I was kind of leaning away from the education side of things. I was thinking, because I also used to teach high school drumline throughout the state. I've been through several different schools, worked with lots of great kids. So that was kind of like a part-time job kind of thing as well, that we would do, a couple times a week. And I wouldn't say working with them kind of burnt me out, but it kind of gave me more of a perspective of like, this whole teaching thing kind of feels more like a hobby than like a career choice. Like, I'm grateful that, I only have to see, 25 kids for 3 hours twice a week. And that was more than enough for me for some days.
But I think you can get burned out like that out of anything. Anything.
But in my brain at the time, that's kind of what my thought process was going through. It's like, maybe this isn't quite the decision that I wanted to do.
I thought it was.
So I kind of started leaning towards like a music performance degree. I was a percussionist. And so I would spend, after I was done with my homework and the semesters that I was doing really well, I would actually do all my homework, get it all done, and then I would spend like 8 hours a night. Literally 8 hours every night until they kicked me out of the music building practicing. Whether it was like my marimba skills, because I was pretty weak with that. I was much more drum focused than I was the melodic stuff. But that was it. I would work on like actual band class music. I would work on the concert, or not concert repertoire. My independent lessons, music, like solo stuff. I'd work on my drum corps stuff. I had the whole building to myself at times. So
how did that transition or how did that translate into nursing school? Like, what are the things that you had to keep, and what are the things that you had to put away?
Things I had to put away. Well, being that I moved to a different state, I couldn't do drum corps anymore. So that was a real easy thing to give up. Things that I kept was my dedication to like a specific thing. So like, for example, practicing 8 hours a day, I knew what I had to do in order to get better. And I saw huge results by the end of the semester. And so I kind of took that mindset and started morphing it more into my studies and being like, so maybe instead of only, doing the homework, maybe I should do a little bit more homework kind of thing. Like maybe I should actually read the books that, I was paying for. Oddly enough, it kind of helped. So
weird.
I know. I mean, I didn't always read the books, but like
nobody does.
No one does.
Nobody does.
You pay all that money for those books, and then you maybe open it 3 times, kind of thing. But well, maybe a little more than that. But and just putting in that kind of detail and that effort, and just like, yep, I should probably understand this a little more than just, well, we're good for the test at least, kind of thing.
What was? Can I ask how you? The nursing school application for us was pretty in depth.
Okay.
And how did you? And
how'd I get in?
Well. I got a question.
Yes.
I got a question last week about. This person was going through prereqs and their grade slipped a little bit at the end.
Yep. And that happened to me too, actually.
But how do you, like...
Shock.
Well, no. I just mean, how do you... Because my recommendation was that you take that kind of stuff head on. Mm-hmm. And if somebody was in that circumstance, I would want them to say... like in the application, in the write-up or whatever, I had this and I learned this from this bad experience, and whatever. Like I was a new mom, and I learned so much about dedicating your time and effort into somebody other than myself.
Yeah.
By being a parent and whatever else, and that's a good way. I feel like that's a good way to spin, spin the experience. If somebody finds themselves in a similar circumstance to you, where they tried out a bunch of things and they're like, I don't want to do, I find I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to do this. And it takes them a while to figure it out. And then they come to nurse and they go, holy crap, I think this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And they're applying for it. They may have a couple years of bad grades behind them. Mm-hmm. How did you get that to work for you?
I have a couple years of bad grades? So pretty much like you said, take it head on. Like I said, I had to retake several classes because my grades were just not good enough. And so, and I don't know if this listener will be listening to this, but I was, at least for my program, I was privileged enough to have an advisor that I got to sit down with, and we looked at all of my transcripts and things that I needed to get done in order to get into the program. So there should have been no surprises. She told me, this isn't good enough. You're going to have to take this class again. Mm-hmm. And, apply that to all of the classes that I had to retake. We were almost all of them. Yes. So, and I was fortunate enough too. It was a small school. I went to the sister school. The main campus was an hour and a half north. Mm-hmm. It was literally 2 buildings, 3 stories, and about 90% of the people there were nursing, going into nursing. So there was some gen ed classrooms, and then one specific floor was just dedicated to like the nursing department.
Mm-hmm.
So actually it was one building really. So I would meet with my advisor, we'd figure out what needed to get done, and I'd say, yes ma'am, let's do it. And I would sign up for it. And like I said, small class, I think, oh God, I don't even remember how many people started with my class. It was less than 20. So we were a very small cohort. And
That was your nursing program? Your
Yep.
whole nursing program is
Yep.
20 people?
Yep. And I think we
Gosh,
actually had a couple less by the end.
There's no way to hide in that crowd.
No. There was not. But I mean, we were all, I wouldn't say we were all really close. There was obviously, different groups,
Yeah.
different cliques. Surprisingly enough, I was not in a real clique. I mean, I had a woman that I worked with who ended up actually, she was precepted me a few times when I had first started as a PCA. We ended up going to nursing school together. She,
You expanded your one-man wolf pack?
I did. I expanded my one-man wolf pack. In fact, I actually acquired a second one-man wolf pack of, or I don't know if I said that right, but there was 3 of us. When we had group projects, we were always a group together. I sat next to my friend all the time, and that she was my buddy in class, and I absolutely miss her to death. I hope she hears this, actually.
You can send it to her.
I'll send it to her.
You can send her.
There you go.
Send her a link. So speaking of tech, because you're a tech or a PC, you guys called them a PCA or
Patient
a
care,
PCT? Okay.
patient care associate.
So, do you think? Because I'll get that every once in a while that people. There are nurses who think that you can't be a good nurse without being a CNA or a PCT or an EMT or something like that, and then there are, and I think having those experiences can make you a better nurse,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes those experiences, those real world experiences, made nursing school harder because you had the practical experience and you're trying to answer nursing school questions.
Oh my God, yes. So I'm kind of in the middle. Like, for me personally, it was a huge help because I actually went into it. My brain was saying, I know this isn't NCLEX. I know this isn't NCLEX. This is completely different. So when I'm going to take these test questions, I can't think about the things that I saw at work the other night. I need to think about, what does this question say and what does it want me to answer the right way? So, but yeah, I mean, I started as when I first moved down to the South, I started as a PCA at a med surge, or a med tele floor. Had no experience working with sick people at all. So it was like, mind-blowing experience. I'm a generally shy person, believe it or not. Like,
Well, I believe it. I mean, it took you and I.
Well, we also didn't
little
really get
while.
a chance to see each other.
Well, I know,
'cause we
but
were always
it-
so busy.
But it took.
It took a little
That's
bit before
true.
we,
before you warmed up.
yeah. But like, just in general, I tend to keep to myself. I don't, whatever. But so having to get out of that comfort level of, hi, my name is Matt. I'm gonna be your tech tonight. I'm gonna get your blood pressure. Okay. To, hey, how's it going? How you feeling tonight? And we're just like cutting up with people and having a good time and trying to make them smile because you're in the hospital. You already feel miserable as it is. When do you want me to come in and look gloomy or just hating my job every day? No, you want someone who's gonna have like a positive influence on you or like happy smile. Smile goes a long way.
I did. Do you do? So you did you have to do like phlebotomy on your floor?
No,
No,
we were not
Okay.
allowed to.
Okay, because that was always a good opportunity. I felt like to have a really positive interaction with
yeah,
patients in the.
You're the guy holding the needle.
Yeah, I know. It was like, you are going to like this. No,
You.
but it was. I felt like it was a good opportunity to learn how to take a situation that most people hate and turn it into a positive experience.
Absolutely.
So that's where I developed. if it was in a parenting situation, I would call them dad jokes.
Oh yeah.
But it's the same. But it's the dad.
Dude, I am
it's,
so dad jokey. It's not even funny.
I love it. But you know, I would. It's the blazing saddle. I use the blazing saddles one all the time. Be like, see this, steady as a rock. And then you shake the other hand and be like, "This is my needle hand," or you
my
go
strong hand,
or I or I'll go into the room and they're like, "Are you good at this?" And I go, "Well, I'm kind of nervous. It's my first day," and
So my preceptor when I first started said, "Don't ever say that." She's like, they're already probably nervous knowing that you're new. Maybe don't tell them this is your first one. It's like, okay.
No,
It wasn't, but
no. But I would purposely tell them it's my first
yeah.
one, and they would look at me and kind of give you that when
maybe I don't want you to be.
no,
my person.
it would be so. One of the fun things about having my little kids at the age they are now, because I always, I'm always kind of poking at them a little bit, and they've started to not started, but they do they've got that what's the word I'm looking for, where they kind of understand. They're like,
catching on.
They're catching on, and we're like, I don't think so, Dad. And like, or my son is really funny. He'll be like, no,
Yeah.
And it's like, so I'll go in there and be like, well, it's my first one, and you just get the patients who are like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And
That's totally, you got to read the situation kind of thing.
Yeah,
you can't just do that to anyone.
It's gone not well a couple of times, but in a 4-year period, I can really count on, on one hand the number of times it really bombed.
Yeah.
And those ones stick with you.
If I make those jokes, it's usually afterwards, after I get like the IV in or something like that. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that was my first one. And they look at me and like, just kidding. That was my first one today, maybe. So
that was my first successful one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes.
But we did the. But I feel like that stressful, because the joke that they would all and this was what kind of spurred a lot of it on. Be like, oh, it's the vampire. I'm like, oh, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
And we're like, yes, I know. I have a pale complexion. I work nights. I get it.
It's not my fault.
But then you can start that interaction.
Yep.
And you'd have family in the room, and they're nervous and they're stressed. And I feel like if you can get them to smile or laugh, I swear to God, as soon as they smile, those veins just pop right up. Be like,
Weird how that works.
got it. Like, I could swing this needle from the door and hit that. All right. That's another one. It was like, you see somebody come in with veins like mine,
just
and
popping,
and they're just or like Tony's.
Oh my God. Yeah. I had a joke.
I could throw a needle across the room.
Yeah. Dart.
and hit those things. But I feel like those type of experiences can really help you be like develop who you are as a nurse and be a better nurse. Can.
Yep.
But it's not always true. But for me, I felt like I had a very difficult time separating work from school because there were so many questions where like, I dealt with this the other night. I had this exact situation, and so it's really easy.
How many times did I do that when I was looking at an exam? I'm like, that actually happened.
Yeah.
Hey, that happened too, and that was the wrong answer. Crap.
Yeah. I think I made the same mistake when I was studying, because I would I have the ability, I think, to separate important from not important. It's these are
like the filler stuff in the questions. Or...
Yeah, like or if we're talking about a particular disease or a particular medication, I'm a pattern recognizer.
Okay.
And so I go, okay, well, these are the 6 things that I need to know about this condition. These are the 6 things that I needed to know. So for like first generation antipsychotics, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and those are the that's how I remember like the side effects of those of those medications, because it's just like boom, 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 and which I won't go into now. But if you want content, go to somebody else. You're not going to learn content from me.
Right.
But it's those. I focused on things that I felt were important for my career. And nursing school doesn't care. Nursing school will take questions from wherever they can find content to get questions, no matter how rare that situation might be, or rare side effect. Like, is this a side effect of this medication? And if it's literally the most rare side effect ever, you can still get a question on it, and I would be like, that's not anywhere that I remember from my studying, and so I had a hard time. I think working as a tech, working as an EMT, made nursing school harder, but I think because of those experiences, I'm not going to say I'm a good nurse. Being a good nurse is more possible for me.
You're a good nurse. I see with people. You're a good nurse.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not fishing for compliments here. I'm just saying that it's more possible for me to be a good nurse because of those experiences than if I hadn't.
For sure.
So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. Let's do. We might go into NCLEX prep if you think we have anything on that. Otherwise, let's come back and let's do a new grad segment, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Sure.
Nursing Student Ground, this is Real Talk 6, ready for taxi with Romeo Papa Hotel, downwind departure. Roger, Nursing Student Ground, taxi to 31 right via Zulu. Nursing students, do you want to become an RN and think someday you'd like to be a flight nurse? How can you make this happen? What's the best flight path to make this dream, inside the dream of being an RN, a reality? If this has any interest for you, you should go out and buy the Flight Nurse Bible, a field guide to awesomeness by Robert P. Harris, BSN, RN, CFRN, CTRN, TCRN, CEN, CPEN, CNPT, CCRN. Here's Nurse Rob reading a selection from his book. You can also hear the full two-part interview with Nurse Rob from Season 4, Episodes 2.1 and 2.2, published in December 2019 on the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
There are billions and billions of people on this beautiful blue planet, and we are all spinning through space together for the entire term of our short lives. These facts should not depress you or make you feel small. These facts should inspire and empower you to look around the world and see the many ways you can make a positive impact with your existence. If there is a greater purpose to life, it must be to serve one another passionately and alleviate suffering. We must also attempt to live as intelligently, courageously, and joyfully as possible. Semper Fi, blue skies, Vios Indios. Oh, and one more thing, no matter what you do not walk into a tail rotor.
Nurse Rob has a great preview on the book on Amazon.com, and you can connect with him directly on LinkedIn by searching for Robert P. Harris. Check him out. Check flight path.
You're listening to the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast.
Thanks so much for joining me in this episode. I can't wait for part 2 of the episode with the unlikely nurse Matt, and I'm so excited for the interview. I'm so excited to share this with you, and I'm so excited for what's going to happen in the future. I just had a conversation earlier today that it just gives me a lot of hope for the future. It gives me a pathway forward, because even though I'm still creating stuff and I'm still, getting letters in, and I get questions, and issues continue to come up, and like I did a speaking engagement this winter, and I have other things in the works to do more stuff like that. I'm so excited for what's going to happen in the future. There's so much more to come. There's so much more that I want to do with you. There's so much more to do, and I'm sorry. I know I ask so much of you as the listening audience, but please, if you have any time, if you have enough money to buy a cup of coffee once per month, then please consider going to our Patreon account and donating. And it's a monthly thing. You can donate $2 a month. $2 a month, and you'll be a patron of the show. And the hard part about like using sponsors and affiliates and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of for some of them, not all of them, but for some of them, it's kind of a scam for for those of us who are doing the heavy lifting as far as advertising goes, because say, okay, well, if people click on this link, which doesn't really work with a podcast, let's be honest. If people click on this link, well, then there's a cookie that's attached to your computer if you accept cookies on their website, which most people, I don't click yes, but some people do. And, if that's the case, then next time they go there, and if they enter their, if they enter into a membership or continue to purchase, then I will get credit for it, and I'll get, a small commission based on that. And that's, I tried that a couple of times, and it was just, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work in this format, and I'm not sure how to overcome that, but it just didn't work. And so, like, for example, the Badge Lady by nerdware.com, so I don't get anything from her. Nothing. There is no incentive for me at all to advertise her product to you. I just think she's cool. I think she has a great product. I think she has a great sense of humor. And when I found her, I just said, hey, can I put a commercial on my podcast? Because I think you're awesome. And I just do it because it's fun. The interview that I did with Colette, and the interview that I did with Michelle in the last episode, I do that because I think it's great information. I am getting absolutely nothing. Well, let me rephrase. I got a signed copy of the Pie Letters, and Michelle sent me. She said she was going to send me like a couple of recipes or whatever, and she sent me like a binder. So thanks, Michelle. That wasn't necessary. I appreciate it, but I was not expecting that. So thank you. But there's just, go to the Patreon account. It's Patreon, Patreon. Go to the Patreon account, www.patreon.com/realtalknursing, and $2 or $3 a month. It's not per episode, it's per month. That's, it's less than a glass of wine or a glass of beer. It's way less than coffee. It's way less than coffee. If you can do that, that helps me do things like going out and doing talks at conferences. That helps me put the show together. That helps me pay for the bandwidth in order to publish the podcast every month. That helps me advance and get better software, because I'm looking at a software upgrade for the podcast, because there's other things that we want to do that my current software doesn't have the capability of doing. There are other people who might be coming on to the show. They're, into the Real Talk family. There's so many things that I don't know are going to happen, and I'm so hopeful, and I'm so hopeful for what's going to happen in the future, and I'm so hopeful for what's coming, and I'm so excited for you, because I think there are some really, really great things coming, and I think there are some really, really great things that are in store that are going to kind of guarantee that, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast and the community that I've tried to build over the last year plus is going to continue and going to grow exponentially. I think I'm at a critical mass. I have had 3 or 4 months of really, really solid increases in listenership. I've had a lot of additional followers. We've had a lot of growth here, and I think there's more to come, and I'm really excited for that. So I feel like I'm at a critical mass where things are going to exponentially increase. And there, on top of that, I think there are some other things going that are going to come along that are absolutely going to, they're going to be so great. They're going to be so big, and it's going to be so much fun, and I'm so excited for you guys. So I will end the podcast. I'm sorry I'm kind of babbling on at this point, but it's just, I'm so excited for the future. Thanks for joining me today. Join me for part 2 with Nurse Matt. This Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a Real Talk production. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory of my brother, First Lieutenant Justin Smith, Blood and Steel.
Sic semper tyrannis, facta non verba.
Good night, Steve Cannon. Wherever you are. Annyeong, Kasayo. Now you go home.
If you like the show, you can support us directly at www.patreon.com/realtalknursing and gain benefits such as early content, shout-outs, special swag, and more. You should write in to realtalknursing@gmail.com or use Facebook Messenger, or contact us through Instagram or Twitter to share your experiences, ask questions, and give your feedback. Thank you for supporting our friends, affiliates, and sponsors. Thank you as well to everyone who started following us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. More listeners means more and better shows. Make sure to share the show with your classmates and especially those underclassmen. Let's give a hand up to those who are coming behind us. If you're new, welcome to our community of fun, engaged, and supportive nursing students and nurses. Don't forget to reach out and tell us if you have any announcements for graduations, good grades, difficult tests, friends you want to congratulate, and your announcement will be featured on our show. If you like the show, the Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Libsyn Web Player, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. So, go to wherever you download podcasts, subscribe, rate us, review us, write into the show, and smash that subscribe button. Remember, leave only 5-star reviews because that's the only ratings that count to get us noticed by more nursing students.
The Real Talk School of Nursing podcast is a holy moly, I can't believe you're still listening to this podcast.